This is a podcast of an interview originally broadcast on Radio EMFM 104.7 at Chukamoama Community Radio. Radio EMFM broadcasts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find our program guide on our website, www.radioemfm.org.au, along with details of other podcasts, information about the station and presenters, and a membership form should you wish to support us by becoming a member. You can also find Radio EMFM 104.7 on Facebook. We hope that you will enjoy this podcast.
And here at Radio EMFM, we're doing some interviews with blues artists in the lead up to the Winter Blues Festival this July, end of the month in Echuca. And I've got Nathan Cavaleri on the phone. G'day, Nathan, and thanks for joining us here at EMFM.
My absolute pleasure.
And will this be your first trip down to Echuca?
No, I played Echuca Winter Blues probably about 5 years ago, I think. Yeah, I just remember, I have such fond memories about that festival, so I'm very much looking forward to getting back down there.
Okay, and it'll be great to have you back. Now, when I was doing a bit of background for this, well, I read your bio that you sent out, of course. Celebrated artist, storyteller and mental health advocate, and by 16 you toured with B.B. King, performed at the Kennedy Centre, sharing the stage with Etta James and Bonnie Raitt. I think that might be from your website, that one. Then I found on on YouTube, the old clips from Hey Hey It's Saturday. And then I found the Australian Story, and I thought, right, I'm not going to start this interview like I was going to, because the whole backstory's there, isn't it? And
that's ABC Australian Story. That's the first sort of I suppose mini documentary that's ever been done. So yeah.
And I have to say, it's a pretty amazing story. For people who don't know it, it's you can find it on YouTube. You can also, it's still on ABC iView. It's the 2020 season of Australian Story, a program called Growing Pains. It's in half an hour. It takes you through about 3 or 4 lives of Nathan Cavaleri, doesn't it? It seems to me, and very moving in parts, especially if you know someone who's been to some of those places. So we might just refer our listeners to that and move on, if you're happy to do that.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy, man.
Okay, thanks for that. Watching that, you started off really just playing alongside your dad when you were very young. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, he always had a guitar strapped to him growing up, but it is quite intriguing, especially now being a father of 2, just watching your kids, like what they naturally gravitate towards, and the guitar was just one of those things that there was a magnetic pull towards it, and also particularly the blues, even though the style of music that I do now, it's embedded in the blues, but it involves other styles as well, and yeah, I think I just naturally drawn to it. It became a really special form of emotional expression that was very, very useful, particularly during challenging times later in life.
Yes, yeah. Well, that certainly came out in the documentary. So it was blues right from the start.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was anything guitar-based that moved me, particularly things that were melodic or had good riffs. Or I liked some of the shredding and all that, but it wasn't really. It was the blues that really spoke to me in my heart. So I think I remember one of the first blues songs I ever heard was Freddie King's "The Stumble," and then things got really hi-fi when I was exposed to Stevie Ray Vaughan. That Texas Shuffle is when you listen to a song and there are particular components that just seem to hit you, and blues ticked a lot of those boxes.
Early influences, Mark Knopfler is one who comes up in the documentary, of course. Were there other early influences in your music?
Yeah, well, Mark Knopfler, obviously he sits outside of blues, but you can hear the blues roots under all that as well. But what I loved about Mark Knopfler was his storytelling approach to his guitar playing. I liked his cool voice, and it also comes with a lot of memories. They were the soundtrack to a lot of memories, childhood memories growing up, in the back of Mum and Dad's Kingswood, going away on holidays, and then obviously later meeting Mark Knopfler, and he even though he sits outside of the blues, he really was my idol, and I still keep coming back to being influenced by Mark Knopfler many ways throughout my life, but for different reasons. And other earlier influences, could be anything from Roy Buchanan to, of course, B.B. King, and Jeff Healey was a big one. I really love Jeff Healey because he was a really quite an aggressive blues player. He was probably one of the most aggressive that I was listening to back then. But his aggression never surpassed his storytelling as well throughout his playing. He wasn't just wailing. When he'd wail, there would be purpose, and then it'd be back to the melodies again. So I was really moved by all of those guys, and then probably started to get into soul and funk just a little bit later. And then the high school comes along and puberty and all the hormones and everything, and that's when I was exposed to everything outside of blues, like grunge and hard rock and stuff like that. So.
That's right. Yeah. Again, there's a bit of that in the documentary, isn't it? You went to hard rock for a bit, and then and now you're back with the blues or blues related. Is it the fact that you were talking about storytelling through music? Is that part of the attraction of the blues, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, blues heavily relies on feeling and emotion, because if you were to break down the technicality of blues, it's pretty simple. And when I say that, I mean the technical side of it. It's not flashy. It's not, it's all about feeling. When B.B. King plays that one note, I mean, it's just one note, but I could play that one note, not have any feeling put into it, but then the next person could, and they could put their whole life in one note. You know what I mean? And you as a listener, you do feel the difference, and so you mix that with good storytelling and also catchy chord progressions. Things that you can easily follow that make the bed of that story and those feelings. It's pretty special.
One of the things, as we see up here, and I guess you see at the festivals you go to too, it attracts all sorts of people, all ages, all backgrounds, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the Winter Blues Festival this year is a hell of a lineup. Like I'll often look up the lineup of the festival that I'm playing at, and seek out some of my favourites and everything. But I'm going to have a real hard time trying to get around to everybody at this one.
Yeah, well, it's the 25th anniversary, of course. It was the first one was 1999, but they missed a couple on the way with COVID, of course. So 25th anniversary, and they've certainly gone overboard. So as an artist coming to these, I guess it's a great opportunity to catch up with your peers who you wouldn't see all that often, I guess. Yeah,
I mean that's the magic of playing a festival is also the spontaneous collaborations. Like, when I played Peak Festival last month, ran into the Hussey Hicks girls and Minnie Marks, and they all got up and had a blow with me during one of my songs, and vice versa, and then of course all the banter backstage, and I think being an artist can feel a little isolating. Most artists are not surrounded by artists as friends. They might have friends who are tradies or whatever, and it can be a bit isolating. And so I really cherish the moments that come from those festival bookings, because it's a time when you can really connect with people who are going through challenges similar to yours, or you get to celebrate each other's highs and wins and stuff like that, and you can relate to them, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, if we pop along to see Nathan Cavaleri, I can't tell people where you're going to be playing yet, because I checked this morning on the app. They haven't got the schedule up yet, but we'll do that once it happens. But all your own material, or will there be some covers in there?
I'll chuck in a couple covers. My set does kind of tell a story as well, so I've got a really cool version of an old Cold Chisel song to pay respects to Jimmy Barnes, who took me on tour with him when I was 10 years old. And, I got a couple of traditional blues numbers in there, but mostly my originals. And this time I'm actually going back down solo, but it's definitely not a laid-back gig. We have some intimate moments, but it rocks really hard.
Now, looking on your bio, you got a new album, Miracles, coming out with surf rock melodies and swamp swaggers, which sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, Miracles is actually is out already.
Yep.
So yeah, Miracles is something I'm still touring and bringing Miracles to light. Also, I've dropped my first ever live album, which came out a little earlier in the year. And
that's live at the Wheatie, isn't it?
Live at the Wheatie, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
is that the Wheat Sheaf in Theberton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm an old Adelaide boy, so it's got some. They've got some great venues over there, haven't they?
Oh, it's a magic. I love playing Adelaide, and last year it just kind of hit me. I'm a live artist. I play live music. It's what I've been doing since a kid. I've never released a live album. We've got to fix that. And so I told my sound guy across the national tour, just hit record on everything, and then we'll go back through and pick the best one. And you wouldn't believe that all of the files, we had an incredible, corruption to our hard drive, and pretty much everything wasn't usable. Yeah. But there was one gig that came through, and it was the one gig that my sound guy wasn't at, and it was just an afterthought that I said at soundcheck at the Adelaide Wheat Sheaf. I said, "Oh mate, you don't happen to be able to record this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can record it." I just didn't think anything of it. I actually forgot that we recorded it, and they sent it in a USB stick just as I was crying my eyes out that we'd wasted a whole year's worth of recordings, and there it was. And not only was it there, I remember it to be one of my favourite gigs of the tour, so it's just meant to be.
Well, that's great, because, of course, a live album would have a lot of challenges, wouldn't it, that you can't go back, presumably, like you can in a studio album?
No, you can't overdub. I mean, you could if you wanted to cheat and do all sorts of hacks, but, that's one thing that the blues taught me is you got to, embrace all those imperfections. That's what makes it human. And I think now more than ever, with all the robots going around, we need as much human music as possible.
Absolutely. And that's one thing about the Blues Festival, of course. They're real people. They're not AI, not AI generated, which is great. So Live at the Wheatie, that is available too now, is it?
You can get that on streaming services, or if you want to buy it directly from me, you can get it via my website and cut out the middleman. So at nathancavaleri.com.
Okay, and presumably you'll have a few copies and your other albums as well. Besides Miracles and Live at the Wheatie, what other albums have you got, Nathan?
There's an album before Miracles, which is called Demons, and that was actually the first album that I released after a big long walk through the dark woods. So, right. That came out at the same time as Australian Story. Okay. And if you listen to all three of them, you can literally hear the evolution of how it all came together and where I was in my life. Demons was probably a little bit more of an understated album, and along with that came touring and facing fears and all sorts of stuff. And then by the time Miracles came, it was kind of like, all right, I'm jumping off this cliff and I'm going to put my arms out and I'm going to fly, and it'll be what it'll be. And Miracles really pushes some hard boundaries. And then, of course, Live at the Wheatie is all about embracing imperfections and the magic that comes with that live experience. When you're face to face with your crowd and you're putting something out and they're giving something back, and you go along on this journey together, there's just nothing like it. And so to have that captured, it's pretty cool.
Nathan, thank you so much. I think once this goes to air, there'll be people lining up for your gigs 2 weeks ahead. That's been great. Thank you so much for your time today, and we certainly look forward to seeing you down here in the Winter Blues Festival in Echuca in a few weeks now, isn't it? Yeah,
it's getting close. So get your tickets, guys.
Good on you, Nathan. Yeah. Thanks so much, mate. Again.
Have a good one.
And
Bye.
You too. Cheers now.
The podcast you have just heard was of an interview originally broadcast on Radio EMFM 104.7 Echuca Moama Community Radio. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. Remember that you can listen to Radio EMFM anywhere in the world, either via our website www.radioemfm.org.au or via the Community Plus Radio app, which is free to download to your Apple or Android device from your Game or Play Store.